All right, Jesse on fire, back in Cancun to talk about what just happened after the after the Tyson Fury fight, when Francis Ngannou jumped in the ring and they declared that they're going to fight. They're going to find out, if I quoted Francis exactly, who the baddest motherfucker on this planet is. If I think I got that right. Maybe baddest man on earth, whatever. Baddest motherfucker for sure. So here's the thing about that. Okay. This is not a small deal. It's not just like everybody knows they're kind of trying to hype a fight. And so Francis comes in after he won and like whatever, like this has tremendous implications in terms of the business, because at the end of the day, Francis is under contract with the UFC. Now think back to, oh, thanks for that input, you guys. Think back to when Francis was about to fight Gane, and we heard that the UFC had sent over a threatening letter that they were going to sue the management company because they had supposedly, they had insinuated that Francis's team had negotiated with Jake Paul's like business partner, whatever, like the guy over at Triller, right? And it was like, we're going to come after you. That's a violation of your contract. Okay. So bottom line, just from that incident alone, you're not allowed to negotiate new fights. You're not allowed to promote new fights that are external of the UFC if you're under a UFC exclusive contract. And Francis went into the ring after Tyson Fury's fight, and they said, we're going to fight. Now, one thing that you could say, they didn't say anything specific. They didn't say a date. They didn't even give a ballpark of when. They said at some point we're going to do it, and we're going to do it under mixed rules. By the way, they said they're going to do it under mixed rules. Jeez. I wonder if we check the tape, who the first person to say that they should do that was. Just saying. I'm just saying. And just in case anyone at UFC sees this for the 100th time, I'm rooting for you guys to do it. I'm saying Zuffa Boxing should be boxing in 4-ounce gloves. That is what Zuffa Boxing is. You start an entirely new sport. You leverage the Francis and Tyson Fury thing as the inaugural event. 4-ounce gloves, boxing, and the future of that sport is not, Mike Perry fights Julian Lane or whatever, or any of this bare knuckle stuff. Like that's not the future of that sport. The future of the sport is top level boxers boxing in MMA gloves. Like, let's see how they do. Let's see how they do when you can't just cover your face with these enormous things. Like, I think for Tyson Fury, it's going to make him more dangerous. As a matter of fact, I would call myself damn near certain it's going to make him more dangerous because of his style. He's constantly aware of where his guys are, right? Like, he's not a dude that just sits and covers up. Like, he knows where the danger is, and he's picking his shots. The smaller gloves make it a smaller thing that he needs to fit between the spaces to punch his guy. So the smaller gloves make Tyson Fury more dangerous, not less. So when he fights Francis under that rule set, he's more likely to knock Francis out, in my opinion, than he would be with regular boxing gloves. Like, it actually favors Tyson Fury in terms of my breakdown. Now, I'm the last person going to bet against, just make outlandish claims about there's no chance or whatever. If every person who thought that Francis had no chance in an obstacle that he set out to, get over in his life, and the stakes were like, if you're wrong, you're dead, there'd be nothing but a fucking string of dead people from his life, because he's overcome every single obstacle. Now, this is not dissimilar from fucking paddling across the ocean with your bare hands, though. For those of you who don't know his story, like, that's an actual thing. Like, him and a bunch of other, African refugees who were trying to get to Spain or to Europe, they got in a raft and they were literally going to paddle with their fucking hands to get across the ocean to the promised land. Okay. It's an impossible thing. I don't think that him beating Tyson Fury under that rule set is that much different than that. But again, he's done the impossible over and over and over and over and over. But in terms of the ramifications of this legally, so this is kind of this is the world that I live in, kind of, is the contracts. What does the contract say? Now, I haven't seen the contract, so I don't know exactly how this, just with the pieces that I do know, I'll tell you what the strategy I would use would be on both sides. Okay. So if I'm the UFC, right, and I think, oh, by the way, and immediately upon that happening, Chael tweeted that. That's illegal. You all started the war. So, I mean, you know, that's while Francis in the ring. Obviously, that's about Francis. And as I understand it, that's the first thing I said. I was like, dude, I don't think he can do that. You know, because he is technically, like, even though, so the situation with the Francis contract is he is under contract, an exclusive contract with the UFC. However, it expires in December and he just had knee surgery. He can't fight before December. So, like, everyone can know that he's headed for free agency, but that is very different than being a free agent. Those are completely not the same thing. Like, those are very not the same thing. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'm going to be a free agent. And there's nothing you can say or do, and I'm going to be a free agent, is not the same as being a free agent, because you're not a free agent right now. Like, what Francis did today is actually no different than if, like, Izzy went and did it. Literally, like, if Izzy just signed his contract, right? Like, Izzy just went, he signed that huge deal. He's got, call it, I don't know, whatever, 6, 7, whatever, how many fights on it. And the UFC announced it. And then he went out and he was like, yeah, we're going to do this fight. And he actually had intentions of some fight that he announced, right? Like, it was like, me and this guy external are going to box. Like, what do you think the UFC would do? Because they have an exclusive contract with him. It's actually, as far as I would understand it, I would need someone to explain to me why that's different. Because, and in that circumstance, if I'm the UFC, I would just go, okay, cool. Well, anything you do related to that fight is now mine. Like, because the remedy is you made that deal while you were under contract with us. So that's our fight. You know, you were in, like, that's our fight. Like, if Izzy did it, that's what I'd be like, cool, that's our fight. And so in this situation, and again, I haven't talked to anyone on Francis' team. This is completely speculation on my own part. But it is possible that Francis just completely fucked himself in this negotiation. In the event that I'm right about how that sets up legally, right? Now, the counter argument to it is Francis just goes in, he goes, what? We didn't say anything about when we're fighting. All we said was, I mean, he did say they were going to fight under a hybrid rule set, which is going to be MMA gloves boxing. And man, I mean, listen, dude, again, without having seen the contract, it's hard for me to be very specific, but if the contract says you cannot negotiate, promote, book, whatever, another fight, like, while under this contract, if you think it's going to be hard to prove legally that they've been negotiating that, when Francis literally just went on and on the microphone stated a rule set they're going to fight under, how would he be able to do that? How would he be able to do that if they haven't discussed it? You know? But here's the other thing. Okay. So if I'm Francis's team, I would be like, what? We didn't say anything about any dates. We haven't said anything about, like, we haven't said there's no signed bout agreement. There's no contracts. All we're talking about is hypothetical. And we're saying that in the future, we're going to fight under this whatever rule set. That's probably a sound legal argument, right? It's like, dude, Mike Morrison, thank you very much. Hard to believe the CAA doesn't have a plan. I agree with that, except that you're making assumptions that, because Francis' management wasn't in the ring with them. You know, now if that's planned, if that whole thing is all a plan, I can promise you this: Markel doesn't do anything without a plan, dude. Like, if there's no plan, that means that Francis went in there on his own and said things he shouldn't. Like, that's just, there's no third option. Like, it's like either Francis went in there on his own and just kind of did it, or this is an enormous chess move, like a fucking enormous chess move. And if it is a chess move, then to your point, CAA has a plan for sure. Like, they have a plan for sure. With an event of the magnitude of Tyson Fury versus Francis, that's not a small thing for an organization like CAA. Like, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that get generated on a single event. That's not like a no big deal thing where, like, you know, you got a small whatever team at CAA that's kind of like, all right, well, let us know, whatever. Like, they'll have their best people on it, like, I mean, like, I just mean like resources, like they'll allocate resources. There will be a plan. And it is very possible that CAA is confident enough either in their legal opinion about the contract that he can do what he just did, or they think that they've got a counter to UFC or a threat that they can make towards UFC that's like, I mean, if you guys try this with us, then we'll do X. And like my hypothesis would be maybe something having to do with, challenging the legality of basic fundamental points that are in every single UFC contract. So you're essentially, but it's also possible that CAA has decided that they want to have UFC co-promote the fight. Okay. Think about it like that, dude. So let's say hypothetically, because here's what so I still have never met Francis in person, but I can tell you what my read on Francis is Francis is a guy who pretends like he does, like Francis is way smarter than people think he is. Like that's my read on him is Francis actually uses the thing where like, oh, they think I don't know what I'm doing as a strategy, where he's like, oh, okay, oh, sure. Yeah. Like, and he's doing it on purpose to get people talking, he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's great. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have understood that without you. And so if Francis has decided that he wants to re-sign with the UFC, but he also wants them to help co-promote this fight, then that's a gangster ass motherfucking move right there, dude. That is a gangster ass move. Because all of this just depends. It comes down to this: like, what do you want to get? Like, what is your desired outcome? Every single decision that anyone makes should be your criteria. It's like, well, what am I going to do? It's like, what's your desired outcome? Well, I don't know. Like I think, well, it's like, well, if you don't know what you want, then there's no strategy that you can apply that's going to be correct. Matthew Porter, thank you very much, man. But as soon as you know what your desired outcome is, then you can start, moving pieces around the chessboard. Clickbait. I'm blocking that. That's such a fucking idiotic thing to say about this that you're blocked by. Clickbait, dude. That just means you're too stupid to. If you think that the title of this video is clickbait, then you're too stupid to watch my channel. Ignited a War is 100% accurate. It's exactly what Francis just did. Except the war is with the UFC. You fucking idiot. Not Tyson Fury. The war is with the UFC. Dummy. Morons, man. I don't know why that pissed me off so much. Just because it's so stupid. But Francis has more leverage now, not less. It was a genius move. I don't disagree. The only thing I would have advised against, and actually, you know what? I wouldn't have advised in any direction on this without knowing what the contract was and knowing what the legal opinion was. But the only thing that makes me nervous thinking about it is the fact that he said the thing about the MMA gloves, like about the rule set, because that implies negotiation between teams. And we know you're not allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not allowed to do that. So, no, it doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the relationship, dude. Like, it doesn't mean the end of the relationship. It just means I can tell you this right now. I don't have to speculate what the UFC brass is doing right now. I can absolutely guarantee you that they are on the they've probably got Hunter, Dana, I don't know, whoever else is in their inner circle on a call with their attorneys. I would bet my life on that. Okay, guys, for the 100th time, I'm not talking about a war between Tyson and fucking Francis. I'm talking about a war between Francis and the UFC. Keep up, okay? Ignites an all-out war between Francis and the UFC. Francis is the heavyweight champion in the UFC. He is under contract. He just got into a boxing ring with Tyson Fury and announced that he plans to fight him in a mixed rules boxing match with MMA gloves. That is a massive, massive offensive against the UFC. A fucking massive offensive against the UFC. I mean, because even if they, like I said, even if they plan to sign with the UFC, but oh my God. Oh my God. I know what they're doing. Fuck me. I can't tell you guys either. Wow, dude. Oh, okay. Well, here's what I can say. Now, again, all of the things that I said previously all still apply in terms of the legality. Let's just let's just say that was like the most gangster way a person has ever in the history of any kind of negotiation stated their position, you know, where like the other side not really sure, like, you know, maybe we can, I don't know. Anyway, that is the most gangster move ever now that I think about it, dude. Holy shit, dude. Wow. I can't, like, damn. Yeah, war between Mike Tyson and the guy on the plane. War between Francis Ngannou and the UFC. Jesus Christ. I fucking love that if it comes to Francis, that people still fucking, they're like, oh yeah, he's pretending, blah, blah. It's like, are you fucking serious? I told you guys 7 months before anyone knew about anything about every other, like, if you're questioning me on this topic, then you haven't been watching the fucking channel. The real reason Francis ignited a war. I mean, dude, bottom line is the UFC's not wondering whether or not he can be talked out of the fucking Tyson Fury fight anymore. Let's just say that. Like, there's no, like, hypothetically, if the UFC was trying to tell him that boxing was not a good option for him, I guess Francis fucking stuck his flag in the ground on whether or not that was a negotiable option. Oh man, that is so fucking funny, dude. No. In all honesty, F-boy, if you actually understand Dana, like really understand him, he's not infuriated, dude. He like, Dana got mad when Francis won the fight against Gane because Dana, dude, nobody's better at this than Dana. No one. Like, no one. He's the best strategist in the history of this entire combat sports thing. And that has to do with the game between people. Like, it's, you know, think about this sport. Like, what's a sport about? You stick a couple people into an octagon and they fight until one of them's unconscious. Okay. What kind of person dedicates their entire life to the growth of that type of sport? What kind of person, okay? What kind of person like is like, gosh, what I could do a YouTube channel about anything. I think I'm going to choose, you know, mixed martial arts. Like, it's a sport where you stick two people in an enclosed place and they fight until one of them's unconscious. That's the sport. Okay. Think about that from a personality perspective, like Dana or me doing my channel like this. It's like, you think the only way that you have combat with people or you beat someone who's an opponent of yours is by getting in a cage and fighting them? Of course not, dude. As a matter of fact, 99 out of 100 times the way you beat someone is with strategy and with leverage. And so Dana is the best at that. He's the fucking best at that. The reason my hypothesis, I don't know this for sure, but my opinion, the reason he bounced after 270 is because he lost and he knew it. Like, this is like postscript. You know, when Gane beat Francis, Dana understood the board. He knew that if Francis won, his control over Francis is gone. and he lost. I mean, like Gane lost, you know. I mean, Dana did everything that he normally would do. It's just Francis beat, like, ultimately the deciding factors kept on being, can Francis win this fight? And Francis kept fucking, and Francis won them all. That's why if you're not rooting for Francis, then you just, like, maybe you need like an adult to explain the situation to you. That doesn't mean I'm rooting against Dana. In all honesty, like my goal, like my best case scenario for this whole thing, like I've said 100 times, found Zuffa Boxing, have Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou be the inaugural event, MMA gloves, you start a new sport, and then subsequent to that, your events are literally the top level boxers that you can sign with MMA gloves. Fucking get Jake Paul. Dude, Jake Paul, you want the Conor fight? You can fucking have it. MMA gloves, you know? Although, if they were going to do it, they'd want to do like real weight classes and stuff. But yeah, in the game, the way that Dana plays it is about strategy and leverage. And if you listen to like the Matt Mitrione thing, where Mitrione was saying that like he had like a contract dispute or something, I don't know, something that was having to do with the UFC, and he played his leverage position, and then he went inside with Bellator, and he was making twice as much money. And he saw Dana in hey, Gab, there's someone at the door. Okay, so he saw wait, what the hell was my? Oh yeah. So he saw Dana in a club, and he gave Dana the finger, and so Dana called him over, and Dana told him, he was like, "Look," he's like, "What's that about?" And he basically said that. No, fine. He told him, Dana. He's like, "Dude, you had a leverage position, you played it, and you won. Congratulations." He's not bitter. The game is the game, man. Like, I mean, if you do something that actually is going to damage the UFC, that's one thing. And honestly, Francis is the heavyweight champion. This is not a small deal. But again, the game ended at 270. Now it's all postscript. Now it's about like, can you bring him back into the fold? You know, oh, hey, like, maybe don't fight Tyson Fury. He's like, oh, I'll think about it. And he goes to London. He's like, yeah, we're doing it. Mixed rules, bitch. Hilarious, dude. All right. I'm going to jump here in a second. But oh, shit. Look at that. All right, dude. I got to jump, you guys. I got to try to get some more information about this. Love you guys. Peace.